Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today we are taking a look at a brand new budget offering from a relatively new brand. This here is the Bestechman Ronan. Now, before I go any further into this review, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in today. If you like what you see, please do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, follow along, and I will continue to bring you the content. Now, let's take a look at some overall specs on this knife right here. We have an overall length of 7.91 inches with a blade length coming in at 3.26 inches and a blade width of 1.12 inches. Blade thickness on this guy is 137 thousandths with a blade material of 14C28. And right there, what am I doing? We have a drop point style blade with a flat grind, a handle length coming in at 4.65 inches, and a handle thickness at 581 thousandths. Handle width is 973 thousandths, right about here on this guy, with a handle material of G10 with a crossbar locking mechanism that I have a lot to say about. We have a user of a right hand only, surprising for a budget knife, right hand only, tip up carry, weight coming in at 4.36 ounces, and a price that I will put down in the description of this video because they gave me this jazzy little info sheet that, unless I'm blind, does not have the price of this knife on there. So I will specify that down in the description of this video so you guys know what you're getting into. But there, of course, will also be a link that will take you over to pick up this knife if you want to grab it for yourself. Now, let's take a look at some size comparisons here and get an idea of just what we're working with compared to some other popular EDC knives. And we'll start off with a couple of my other favorite crossbar locks. Here we have the Hogue Ritter RSK, and we also have the Hogue Deca. Now, the Hogue Deca doesn't do us much good here because that full-size Ritter RSK is pretty much a perfect comparison. Slightly bigger, but a very nice comparison there. In general, really, you got a lot of similarities in the handle as well as some similarities in the blade shape. We got a couple more here just for the heck of it because what's the size comparison if we're just comparing it with one group of knives? Here we have one that has a surprising similarity that some people may or may not know. I'll get to that in just a second. And then we also have the Kaiser Drop Bear. There's the Giant Mouse Ace Nazca. If you guys haven't seen my review of that, gave it a pretty very good review, we'll put it that way. Very surprising knife for me. Two more fantastic crossbar style locks. And what these two have in common here between the Nazca and the Ronan is the crossbar locks are both made by Bestech. This is manufactured by Bestech, as well as this one, obviously, and they feel very similar. And if you guys remember my review of this guy, it was a very good review, and that was one of the reasons why. But before we get into the action, before we get into the handle, let's tackle the worst part of this knife, and it is the blade, and it's not the edge. The edge is actually pretty good. We have a behind the edge reading of 17 thousandths, so some pretty good sliciness going on with this guy with a pretty high flat grind, especially up towards the top here. Relatively slicey top third of the blade. And the blade itself looks good. I think it looks good compared with the handle, and I think overall in general it's just a good EDC blade. There is one glaring, daunting, ugly, foul piece of crap on this blade, and it annoys me to no end. I may be more annoyed about this than I should be, but again, when it comes to budget knives, especially good budget knives like this, there's a lot of good manufacturers out there, or at least there's a few really good manufacturers out there making budget knives every bit as good as this one that don't have this ridiculous blue thumb stud on a black blade with a red handle. I'm really going to lay into him on this. And Bestechman, if you're watching this, do me a favor. Do not ever send me a knife with blue thumb studs on a black blade and a red handle ever again, because I will not review it. I'll just return it to you. I have no idea. I'll tell you guys what happened. I'm going to tell you right now how they got to putting these blue thumb studs on this black blade. I honestly 100% do not believe that they thought this was a good idea. I think they have a lot of extra blue thumb studs that they wanted to get rid of, so they threw them on the blade, because I cannot come up with any other reasonable excuse or reasoning as to why they thought this would look good, because it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, if they were red thumb studs, okay, no, whether I like it or not, at least I get it. It makes sense. This is blue with black and red. It looks terrible. It highlights the thumb studs more than you want it to. There's just not a color that matches. I actually messaged them on Instagram and said, hey guys, my knife you sent me has blue thumb studs. It looks really, really gaudy. Was it supposed to be like that? Or I thought, maybe they could have seriously had someone that had like color issues with their eyes. Maybe it was an error and I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt. So I reached out to them and they said, no, that's how it's supposed to be. I said, okay. So yeah, I just want to be very clear that I think that is the ugliest thing I've ever seen on a budget knife. And I've carried this just enough to run it through some cardboard and use it a little because I will not carry this knife. I don't really want to post pictures of it because I really cannot stand the looks of the thumb studs on the black blade that much. It really, really bothers me, and I think it's a terrible, terrible decision, whether it was meant to be or not. Whether it be because they actually thought by some grace of God this would look good and be accepted, or they just wanted to get rid of some blue thumb studs. This really, really, really annoys me. So I'm done with that. We're going to move on to the rest of this review. And it actually gets a lot better from this point on. But yeah, never, ever, ever, ever again, please. Going into the handle and ergos. The handle is actually very comfortable. You got contoured G10, which feels really good in hand. A nice amount of contouring too. It really does kind of remind me of a longer Ace Nazca handle in a way, because of the way it's arched and kind of like just the curves and the like, I don't know if it's texturing, but just kind of the lines on the inner part of the handle. I really do like it. I think it feels great in hand. The clip here, really like the way that looks. I feel like I've seen this before on Bestex, but that's fine. I don't have a problem with budget knives or budget companies or companies that make budget knives, using the same clips over and over on their knives, as long as I think they look good and they, go well with the design. And I just think that looks really good. I have no issue with it. So yeah, you can keep putting that on budget knives and I'd be happy with that. And you can definitely keep doing that. Fully recessing the clip and screws. Very nice job there. So yeah, everything else on the handle is fantastic. I have no issue with it. It's a very, very solid handle. Feels good, looks good. It looks good if you're just looking at it like this. That's when it looks best. But yeah, very nice handle and ergos. And the action. The action is what makes this knife. This is when it comes to a budget knife. And when I say budget knife, again, I'm not even 100% sure of the price on this guy, but I'm assuming it's going to be well under $100 considering they call it a budget knife. And again, that's going to be linked below in the description, and I will show my outrage if it's over $100 because then it's not a budget knife. But the action is fantastic. And I will say this action, this feels like some premium crossbar lock action. Like this is just as good as a Hogue, or even, I don't know if I want to say it's as good as this Nazca, because I feel like the blade shape and the rest of the design of this knife kind of favors the ridiculously good action on this crossbar lock. But it is up there and it's really flirting with it. I thoroughly enjoy fidgeting with this knife. It is beyond smooth. It is phenomenal in the action department. Easily, and I truly mean this, one of the 3 best crossbar locks I've come across. And when I say that, I don't mean just Bestechman, I mean Bestech's crossbar lock in general, because whatever they're doing in here that is different, I don't know what it is, but it is different. It's different than Hogue, it's different than Benchmade, it's different than Kaiser's clutch lock. It's very different, very smooth, very, very, very damn good. So couldn't be happier with the crossbar lock. Overall thoughts on this knife. I would recommend buying this knife, but please, you guys, don't support this idea. Do not buy this model. Do not buy any model with a black blade and blue thumb stud. Unless it's got a blue handle, then it makes sense. Then it actually might look okay. I'm not a big fan of blue handles either, but I'm so annoyed by that. Looking past that, like I said, I would definitely recommend picking one of these up if you want to try a budget knife with a damn good crossbar lock. They have a lot of options. There's a lot more options than this. I really wish they would have let me pick the one I was going to review, because then I'd be a little more happy about carrying it and using it and giving it some more time, because I don't want to carry this because it looks hideous. It's absolutely hideous with that blue thumb stud. But the knife in general is really good. The action is fantastic. The blade has a great edge. It has good ergos. Outside of that monstrosity, it is a fantastic offering from Bestechman and one that I would recommend. So if you want to pick up a good budget knife, hop on down to the link, give it a click, check out the colors, see if they have something you like, and pick yourself one up, because it really is. I think you'd be very impressed. If you are a connoisseur of crossbar locks and you've tried a lot, this is definitely one you have to try, and I do truly mean that. I don't think I've ever said so many harsh things about a knife followed by so many good things about a knife, but here we are. That's it, guys. The Bestechman Ronan. Let me know what you think of that. Really hope you enjoyed this review. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and until the next one, I'm out.